The speech emphasizes a profound distinction between passive hope and active faith. Passive hope is the kind of hope that waits quietly, almost timidly, expecting circumstances to change on their own. It is the hope that prays but does not act, that dreams but does not take steps toward making those dreams real. Passive hope is dependent on external conditions. It relies on what we see, feel, or understand. When things do not go as planned, passive hope can easily fade, leaving us discouraged, frustrated, or doubtful. In contrast, active faith is vibrant, deliberate, and powerful. It is a faith that does not simply wish for good outcomes, but believes in the unseen, speaks life into reality, and moves with determination toward what is promised. Active faith is a choice to trust in the greater power at work behind the scenes. Even when circumstances seem contrary, it requires the courage to act on what is invisible and the patience to wait for what is certain, even when it is delayed. Understanding this difference is crucial because life's challenges will inevitably test us. Problems, setbacks, and delays can make hope seem insufficient, but active faith transforms these moments into opportunities to grow stronger spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. Acting in faith may involve small steps, such as praying consistently, declaring positive truths over one's life, making wise decisions, or extending kindness and service despite difficulties. Each step reinforces the reality that faith is not idle, it is alive and transformative. By exercising active faith, a person shifts from a mindset of waiting for circumstances to a mindset of partnering with a divine plan that is already unfolding. This shift changes how we perceive obstacles. They are no longer barriers but stepping stones. For example, when facing financial challenges, passive hope might simply wish for a solution to appear. Active faith, however, encourages the individual to take concrete steps such as budgeting wisely, seeking opportunities, and trusting that God's provision will meet their efforts. Similarly, in relationships, active faith involves communication, forgiveness, and understanding, all grounded in trust that positive change is possible, rather than just hoping conflicts will resolve on their own. The speech also suggests that active faith empowers us to speak life over situations. Words spoken in faith carry spiritual weight. When a person declares victory over their circumstances or speaks blessings over their life, they are not merely expressing optimism. They are exercising faith that aligns their mind, heart, and actions with divine possibility. The result is a dynamic interaction between belief and action, where faith actively shapes outcomes. Ultimately, the lesson of this speech is that passive hope may comfort us temporarily, but it does not move mountains. Active faith, on the other hand, is a transformative force that releases spiritual energy, aligns our efforts with divine timing, and enables breakthroughs that were previously unseen. Applying this principle to daily life means recognizing that hope alone is not enough. It must be coupled with deliberate, faith-driven action. Whether in our personal growth, professional pursuits, spiritual journey, or relationships, active faith equips us to navigate life's uncertainties with confidence. By internalizing this distinction and choosing active faith, we step into a life where miracles, progress, and fulfillment are not left to chance but are brought forth through belief, action, and trust in a higher purpose. This understanding is not abstract, it is practical, empowering, and accessible to anyone willing to trust beyond what they see and act on the promises they hold in their hearts. The speech emphasizes that delays and unanswered prayers are not signs of abandonment or failure. Rather, they are opportunities for growth, preparation, and deeper trust. When our prayers do not receive immediate responses, it can be tempting to become discouraged, frustrated, or doubtful. However, the message encourages a response rooted in faith and perseverance rather than in fear or impatience. First, It reminds us to recognize that God's timing is often different from our own. Human understanding is limited to the visible and immediate, while divine timing considers the full scope of our lives, our growth, and the outcomes that will best fulfill a higher purpose. What may appear as delay is often a period of preparation, a time for our character to be strengthened, our faith to mature, and our perspective to align with what is truly best. In responding to delays, the speech urges us to maintain consistent faith practices. This includes persistent prayer, positive declarations, and active trust. Rather than giving up or becoming passive, we are encouraged to continue speaking life and faith over the situation, believing that the breakthrough is coming even before it manifests. This approach transforms waiting from a period of frustration into a season of spiritual activity, where our faith is being exercised and strengthened. Another key principle in responding to delays is understanding that challenges are part of the process. Difficult circumstances test our commitment and reveal the depth of our trust. They teach patience, perseverance, and resilience. By facing delays with faith rather than fear, we train ourselves to rely not on what we can control, but on the power of God working behind the scenes. The speech also emphasizes the importance of perspective. Unanswered prayers should not lead to despair, but to reflection and alignment with God's plan. Sometimes the answer may be wait, other times it may be prepare, or even receive something greater than you imagined. Responding wisely requires listening, discerning, and adjusting our approach while maintaining unwavering belief. Furthermore, the speech highlights action alongside patience. Waiting does not mean inactivity. It means continuing to take small, faithful steps in alignment with our goals, trusting that each effort contributes to the ultimate outcome. Whether it is improving oneself, helping others, or preparing for future opportunities, active engagement combined with faith ensures that when the answer arrives, we are ready to embrace it fully. Finally, the speech encourages a mindset of hope and expectancy. Faith does not require that we see the result immediately. It requires that we continue believing in the promise of God. By holding on to hope and maintaining a positive outlook, we protect our hearts from discouragement and open ourselves to receiving the blessing that is on its way. Every delay has a purpose, every unanswered prayer is part of a divine pattern, and every season of waiting can deepen our spiritual understanding and strengthen our resolve. In practical terms, responding to delays means cultivating patience, perseverance, and active faith, recognizing that what is delayed is not denied. It is a call to trust that the best is yet to come, to continue speaking life over our circumstances, and to prepare for the moment when our prayers are answered in ways beyond what we imagine. By responding in this way, we turn waiting into a powerful testimony of faith, demonstrating that trusting God can withstand delays, challenges, and uncertainty. The speech emphasizes that speaking life and making declarations is one of the most powerful ways to activate faith. Words are not merely sounds or expressions, they are instruments through which belief is expressed and spiritual reality is influenced. When a person speaks with faith, they align their heart, mind, and actions with the promises of God, and this alignment becomes a catalyst for change. Speaking life means intentionally proclaiming truth, hope, and victory over circumstances rather than giving voice to fear, doubt, or despair. It is the act of verbalizing belief in what is unseen but certain, and it strengthens the spirit while shaping the way we perceive and interact with our challenges. The speech teaches that declarations are not empty affirmations but acts of faith. By declaring that a breakthrough is coming, that healing is taking place, or that provision is already on the way, we are not simply expressing wishful thinking. We are expressing confident expectation that what God has promised will manifest. This practice encourages an internal shift As well, the more we speak life, the more our thoughts and attitudes begin to align with hope and expectancy. Another important aspect is that declarations carry authority. The speech suggests that each person has spiritual authority over fear, doubt, and negative circumstances. When we speak with faith, we exercise this authority and take action in the spiritual realm. Just as faith without works is dead, faith without verbal declaration often remains dormant. Speaking life brings faith into action. Declarations also serve as a form of focus. Life can be filled with distractions, doubts, and discouragement, especially during times of waiting or trial. When we verbalize our faith through declarations, we anchor our attention on the truth of God's promises rather than on temporary circumstances. This focus prevents negativity from taking root in the heart and mind, sustaining a confident and hopeful perspective. In addition, speaking life strengthens persistence. When a person faces repeated challenges or experiences delays, the natural tendency is to become silent, discouraged, or doubtful. Faith-filled declarations provide a rhythm of reinforcement, reminding both the speaker and those around them that victory is coming. This constant reinforcement helps maintain momentum, courage, and spiritual resilience. The speech also highlights that declarations are a way to partner with God. Faith is not passive, it is participatory. By speaking life, we cooperate with the divine plan, activating spiritual laws that bring promises into reality. Declarations are an expression of trust. They are a statement that we believe God is at work even when we cannot yet see the results. Finally, speaking life and making declarations have a ripple effect. Not only do they strengthen our own faith, but they can inspire, encourage, and uplift others. Words spoken in faith can influence the spiritual atmosphere around us, bringing hope to friends, family, and communities. This communal aspect emphasizes that declarations are not just personal tools, but part of a larger pattern of faith-filled living that impacts many lives. In summary, according to the message, speaking life and making declarations is central to the process of faith. It expresses belief, aligns us with God's promises, exercises spiritual authority, focuses our minds on hope, strengthens persistence, partners with divine action, and impacts others. Declarations are the voice of faith in action. They give power to belief, transform thinking, and pave the way for the unseen to become reality. By practicing this principle consistently, a person can experience profound spiritual growth, breakthroughs, and victories that might otherwise remain out of reach. The speech emphasizes that faith is not always about dramatic, immediate actions, but often about taking small, consistent steps in trust. These steps, though seemingly insignificant at first, can produce extraordinary results over time. Life is full of uncertainty, and many of the promises we hope for cannot be fully seen in the moment. The future is hidden, the path is unclear, and the outcomes are uncertain. Yet, the principle of faith demonstrated in the speech is that God honors consistent, obedient action, no matter how small it may appear. Small steps taken in faith demonstrate trust in the unseen and commitment to God's plan. They are an expression of belief that each effort matters and that every action, guided by faith, contributes to the fulfillment of a greater purpose. Even when circumstances seem stagnant, these small actions accumulate momentum in ways that are not immediately visible. Just as drops of water gradually form a river, or seeds sown into the ground eventually bear fruit, small steps taken consistently in faith have a compounding effect. They prepare the way for breakthroughs, align us with divine timing, and cultivate habits and character that equip us for greater responsibility and blessing. Another important element is that small, faithful steps build confidence. When we take action in alignment with faith, even if the results are not yet visible, we strengthen our belief in God's promises and in our own ability to follow through. This confidence becomes a foundation for courage, when facing larger challenges. The speech also emphasizes the principle of divine partnership. Our small steps are not isolated, they are acts that participate in a greater plan. God works through our consistent faithfulness, multiplying the effects of our actions in ways beyond what we could anticipate. What may appear as modest effort in the natural realm can produce exponential results in the spiritual and practical realms combined. Moreover, small, faithful steps teach patience and discipline. It is easy to become discouraged when immediate results are absent. Yet, by taking one faithful step after another, we develop endurance, resilience, and an understanding that significant achievements rarely occur overnight. The speech encourages embracing these small actions with joy and expectation, knowing that they are part of a larger unfolding plan. Faith is also strengthened through action. Belief without action can remain theoretical, but when we act, we demonstrate trust in a tangible way. Each step, no matter how minor it seems, is a declaration that we believe in the promises we cannot yet fully see. This creates a positive cycle where faith motivates action, action reinforces faith, and together they move us toward extraordinary outcomes. In practical terms, small steps can include daily prayer, consistent study or learning, acts of kindness, wise financial decisions, or simply maintaining hope and positivity despite obstacles. These steps, repeated over time, compound into results far greater than what could have been achieved by waiting passively or attempting a single, dramatic action. Finally, the speech reminds us that the unseen work is as important as the visible. God often orchestrates circumstances, opportunities, and divine connections in response to our faithful actions. By continuing to take small steps in obedience, we position ourselves to receive blessings, guidance, and breakthroughs that exceed our imagination. In summary, small, faithful steps, even when the full outcome is hidden, are powerful. They reflect trust, build confidence, teach patience, and participate in a larger divine plan. When taken consistently, these steps produce extraordinary results, turning ordinary effort into remarkable transformation and demonstrating the principle that faith, exercised in action, is a catalyst for miracles and breakthroughs in life. The speech teaches that challenges, delays, and trials are not obstacles meant to defeat us, but opportunities designed to shape our character, deepen our faith, and produce powerful testimonies. Life is full of circumstances that can feel heavy, discouraging, or unfair. We often desire smooth paths, immediate answers, and effortless success. Yet the speech reminds us that growth and transformation rarely come without difficulty. Challenges are a testing ground for faith, an opportunity to demonstrate trust in God when circumstances seem contrary. Instead of responding with frustration, fear, or resignation, we are encouraged to view these moments as a stage on which our faith can be exercised and strengthened. Every delay is an invitation to patience, every trial an opportunity to persevere, and every difficulty a chance to align more fully with God's plan. The speech emphasizes perspective. What appears as a setback may actually be preparation for a greater blessing. When we face delays, it is not necessarily a denial of our desires, but often a redirection towards something more beneficial or timely. Understanding this allows us to respond with hope rather than despair. Challenges also teach endurance. Trials stretch us emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. They force us to confront weaknesses, depend more fully on God, and develop perseverance. Through consistent reliance on faith, prayer, and spiritual principles, we emerge from difficulties stronger and more resilient. This growth is not only for our benefit, but also positions us to become a testimony for others. The speech highlights that personal experiences of overcoming adversity can inspire, encourage, and uplift those who are walking similar paths. Our stories of perseverance and faith in the midst of trials serve as living examples of God's power at work. demonstrating that faith is not theoretical but practical and transformative. Another key point is that trials refine our character. They teach humility, patience, gratitude, and wisdom. By navigating hardships faithfully, we learn to value the blessings that come, recognize the unseen hand of God in every circumstance, and develop a heart attuned to divine guidance. Delays, though often frustrating, provide a season for reflection, preparation, and alignment with purpose. They allow us to examine our intentions, strengthen our commitment, and refine our goals. The speech encourages active engagement during these times, reminding us that waiting is not inactivity, but an opportunity for preparation, prayer, and growth. Moreover, facing challenges with faith builds confidence and boldness. Each time we trust God despite uncertainty and witness progress, our belief in His power strengthens. This confidence empowers us to take on future challenges with courage, knowing that no obstacle is insurmountable when met with faith. Speaking life and making declarations, as emphasized in the speech, also transform trials into opportunities. By declaring victory and blessings over difficult situations, we actively participate in shaping the outcome. This practice shifts the focus from the problem to the promise, reinforcing hope and expectancy. In practical terms, turning trials into opportunities involves shifting mindset, taking consistent, faithful steps, maintaining patience, speaking life, and trusting divine timing. It requires seeing beyond the immediate hardship to the long-term growth, learning, and testimony that will result. In summary, the speech teaches that challenges, delays, and trials are not random or meaningless. They are essential components of growth and preparation for divine breakthrough. By embracing these moments with faith, perseverance, and positive declarations, we transform them into opportunities for personal development and powerful testimonies that inspire and uplift others. In essence, obstacles become the soil in which faith grows, preparing the way for miracles, blessings, and the extraordinary unfolding of God's plan in our lives.